Welcome everyone to this Judas Priest classic. I've been loving this Marshall. It's a plexi reissue. What is it called? SV 200H. I don't know. Anyhow, it's a plexi reissue in a small package, and I haven't stopped playing it. It's been in these last 4 videos, and I got a little gain pedal in front of it, and it just sounds incredible. So I want to do a Priest song, and this song I always enjoyed and wanted to learn, so here we are. I learned it and I'm going to share it. So there's a lot of little nuances in this. I thought, I'm going to take it easy. After the Molly Hatchet and hour-long lesson, and this one surprised me a bit. There's more to it than meets the eye. And not to take away from Judas Priest, but most people think of metal as just, power chords and notes. So we'll go over those intricacies, especially with the timing, and of course I'll have my notes linked below the video to download. With that said, for the palm muting, when it's just an open string, I just put X's there. But when it's actually part of a chord, like later they'll do a B chord and palm mute it. I made the B note italicized in a different color, so you know that's palm muted. Alright, so that's with the notes. The thing I want to mention about this, you need to watch earlier Priest, or if you play along with the recording, because this was the Glenn Tipton, K.K. Dowling era, and they played different than the newer guys. The newer guys do their D chords, more of the power. Where I noticed watching these guys live, because I always investigate my videos, Glenn and KK are using these type of chords up here around the upper frets. So with that said, D power chord, just a smooth intro the first time through. Kind of let that ring, and then you'll do a da-da-da, down, up, down. Right into a B, C power chord. Then you'll hear the other guitar do these notes. Alright, so what we're doing there is basically outlining a D chord, and we're going to go from the 2nd string, 3rd fret, and this is semi-palm muted, just lightly, to the 2nd fret of the 1st string, to the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, back to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. So see how we outline that D. Then we're going to come back to the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and then open. Then the 4th fret of the 4th string to open. Then we come back to the 2nd fret of the 4th string. That note, that E, is really critical to playing this song, because it not only leads you into the rhythm, it's part of how they, get into the next phrases. So slowly through that, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we start palm muting, because think of this too as starting it. Okay, so it's 1 and then 3 palm mutes on the 6th string. So the 2nd fret will be our 1. Then we hit an E power chord, 2nd fret of the 4th string, 4th fret of the 3rd string. Okay, so again from the 2. So again from the 2. We're going to palm mute twice again. Then we're going to move our 3rd string to the 5th fret. Okay, great chord. And then we're going to do these notes. 3 to 5 on the 5th string. Then 5 to 4 on the 4th string. And then 2. Guess what 2 does? It leads us back into the rhythm. Okay, so once we go through that E power chord once, let's take it from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. At that point, so when we start the third time through, you're going to hear the second guitar come in with a lick. And I'll show you those licks once we get to that point. Well, actually, we're to that point. So, all right, those licks are, come up to the 7th fret on our first string and the 10th fret on the 2nd string. And it's a unison bend. So we keep that first string where it is. We're going to bend that 2nd string up. And then we're going to just move that up a half step. Move that up a half step. Okay, so that's the first lick. As they're coming, you know, the other guitars are... As they're doing that, you'll hear... Okay, the second time they do the lick, I'll go over that next. Okay, the second unison bend you'll hear, which I call lick 2, I think he's playing it a very specific way because it sounds very smooth. You're going to hear a unison bend and then 2 notes. Okay, so what I think he's doing is using his ring finger to keep that pinky free and play the 15 to 17 notes. So we're at the 12 on the first string, 15 on the 2nd string with our ring finger. So then he hits 15 on the first string and bends it up. But it's almost like one movement. If you use one finger, it sounds too forced. So I think he's using his pinky for those other 2 notes. So that's the second lick. Now those will be important at the end of the song because during the outro they'll do lick 1 like 3 times and then lick 2 and they'll repeat that refrain again. But same with these beginning licks. They're really important to the outro. So then we're into the verse. So we'll go through the verse next. Start the verse off. It's really important how we're coming out of this intro rhythm. Okay, I talked about that second note being very important to start the next phrase. Well, this starts the actual rhythm. Okay, so let me take it from the last measure with lick 2. I won't do lick 2 because there's only me, but this is where lick 2 would be. So we're going to come from 2. Here we go into the verse. Okay, the second time through the verse, we actually do a full E chord, 2 and 4. But the first time into the verse, we're using that second note, and then that's our 1, and then 3 palm mutes on the 6th string. Then we come into that 2-5. Alright, so we have, let me take it from the 2 in the verse. This is just starting the verse. I'll come from the 3-5. So again, from the 2 and 5 to the E power chord, 3 palm mutes. The next time, this is key, they're going to do 2 palm mutes to an E power chord. And then 4 palm mutes to an E minor power chord. So what we're just going to do is let the 1st and 2nd string ring out with the 2 and 4. Okay, so after our E minor power chord, 4 chunks, do is walk up to a C ninth. So a C ninth, it's like playing a G, but you're starting on the C root note. And what he does is walk up from the open 5th string to the 2nd 3rd fret, and he really doesn't put his 2nd finger down because it happens so fast. He hits the 3rd string open, and then on in the 2nd and 1st string at the 3rd fret. Alright, so let me take you into the intro of the verse, or the first, let me take you into the first measure of the verse. We'll come from the 3-5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the second time through, we're going to actually hit an E power chord as our 1. Okay, so the whole verse from 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, the rhythm's kind of funky there, and that's why I say this isn't just your typical play some power chords and hit some muted strings. There's some real rhythm to this, and this will help you play the song and the timing and get all the notes correct. Okay, so that's the verse. After the verse and the licks, we're into the bridge, and we'll go over that next. Okay, so this bridge just before the chorus, or you could call it pre-chorus, I just called it bridge. And I was going to start out on a B. I'll play it at speed and then we'll go over it. Okay, so real funky. Just a great way of playing this in the chords. So what we're going to do is start out on our B. We're going to play that for a full measure, almost 2 measures, and then we come into a D to B. Then palm muted again for about a measure and a quarter, and then we're going to come in sliding from 2 to 3, so B to C. Then we do B, D, A, B. Alright, so let's take that first half of the measure together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then we're going to continue palm muting, and then we're going to come into this really cool part. So what we're doing, open to the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and then we're going to play the 3rd fret of the 5th string and the 2nd fret of the 4th string. Alright, give that a little vibrato. Then we're going to just move our 5th string up to the 4th fret, keeping our 4th string still at 2. Then we move up together to the 4th fret of the 4th string and 5th fret of the 5th string. And we're going to keep that 4, but we're going to move up to 6 now on the 5th string. Okay, and that's 6. We go right from there to an open 5th string, 2nd fret, 5th string, 3rd fret of the 6th string, back to the 5th string open, and then 2nd fret of the 6th string. Again, together, 1, 2, 3, 4. That again is important because they'll reference that 6th fret. at the end of the song. But again, this interlude or this bridge, I should say, the bridge or pre-chorus, second half, let's take it again together. We'll hit the B and then muted. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's the bridge which leads us into the chorus. All right, let's do a little portion of this. I'm going to come in from that second lick and our intro into the verse, where we're just hitting the 2 the first time before we go to the 2-5. So watch that rhythm come together, because the second time we'll play a full E chord. All right, so we'll start from that 3-5. See how that fits together, coming from the verse into the bridge, and now we're into the chorus. Alright, so coming into the chorus, we come out of the bridge. I'll take us out of the bridge into the chorus so you can see how this goes. Into the first part of the verse, but that lick takes us into it. So the first part of the chorus, we're going to come in from that lick. Let me just take it from the 6. We'll start with our E power chord for 1, and then 3 hits on a muted 6 string, back to an E, 3 muted hits, a D, then 2 muted hits, and then our E again, and holding that with some vibrato. So it'll sound like this. Okay, so the second half of this first measure, we're hitting that vibrated E. And then we're going to hit an E again, but it's only 1 mute, and then 3 more muted before we hit E again. So the rhythm is a little different. Okay? And then we walk into our C9th, and we're just going to hit the bottom of that chord, the 3rd, 1st, and 2nd string 2 more times. So let me take you from the walk up to it. So it's like 2 strikes, a slight pause, another strike on that C add 9, and then a D. So all right, so I'll walk you through this measure again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second time through, we're going to walk up to that G, C add 9, and then we're going to do this. It's a notes similar to what we played in the beginning through a D chord, but a little bit different. We're going to hit the 2nd fret of the 1st string and then open. 3rd, fret of the second string, and then we move right to the third string, 2 to open, and then 4 to open on the fourth string. And then we're back into the verse with our 2. Just like we started it the very first time of the verse when we came into it. We're coming into it from this. Okay, so those notes again will be going 2 to open on the first string, 3 on the second string, 2 to open on the third string, 4 to open, and then 2 on the fourth string. Okay, so that second verse leads us into the bridge, but that's the chorus. So why don't I cue up the chorus and we'll go through that. All right, I'm going to come into the chorus and the verse, and we'll come into it from the end of the bridge with the 6 and 4. Okay, so you can see how it all fits together. So after that second verse, we're into another bridge with our B. We've learned that. Then we're into the second chorus. Now the second chorus, that second measure where we go into the lick, what we do after hitting the fourth string at the fourth fret, rather than go back to 2 and another verse or whatever, we're going to go right to a C. So it'll be... I'm going to go through the second measure of the second chorus, which leads us into the interlude and a C chord. So from that lick. So here we go. Okay, so that interlude, when we come into it, we'll come in, stop at the 4, almost like going up to 5 in a C chord, power chord. Then we palm mute it. This is for 2 measures, and then we come into an E. Just hit the E 6th open. Then come into the E power chord on the 2nd and 4th fret of the 4th and 3rd string. And the next section will come in 2 or a B to C with some palm muting. I think that's a measure and a half or 6 counts. And then we go to B, C, and then what we're going to do is 4 and 7. It'd almost be like doing, because we're coming to D next, but I go to the D at the 2nd fret. So it'd be like, but we're actually, because again, these guys play up at the 1st position, so we'd change our D to here. So we got C to D to our 4 and 7 on the 5th and 4th string. D power chord. Then you're going to hit E twice. Okay, so that's the interlude. So let me take you through that. Well, I'll just do a playthrough because one more thing I want to show you is the solo rhythm. Okay, after we hit that E power chord twice, we're right into the solo rhythm. So we're going to hit it twice. That solo rhythm will go 4 times, and it's basically the first measure of the chorus, okay, without the lick. So we're going E, E to D, back to E, 1 palm mute, back the E is held with some vibrato, then 1 palm mute to E, then 3 palm mutes to E, and then our walk up to C add 9th to D. So that's the solo rhythm. So, and again, that's 4 times through. So I'm going to do, I'll cue up the last half of the chorus into the interlude, and we'll do part of the solo rhythm. Okay, so that gives you an idea how the rhythm and interlude goes, which will take us into the solo. We'll start over the solo next. I will not do a playthrough of this because I figured out the notes, I figured out how they play it, so I can help you play it, but it's going to take one of those things you need to practice it up. So we'll go over the solo next. Okay, the solos start out like this. Alright, so there's a lot of palm muting and really pinched harmonics. We're going to start out on the 22nd fret of the 1st string with a bend and just hold that. And then, of course, he uses whammy bar. I don't have one, so we want to hit an E note. So 5th string, pull down, full step. Then we can come into our E, 2nd, 4th, and 5th string, or 2nd, 4th, and 5th fret of the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string. Then we're going to move up a half step and just hit the 4th and 5th string. Then we're going to move up another half step, hammer on from 4 to 5, and pull back off. And then what we're going to do is hit 7 on the 5th string, and then hit 4, slide up to 5. Alright, that's the first measure of the solo. Again, I've written this out so you can follow along with the notes. The next part of the solo, move up to the 12th position, and it'll sound like this. Alright, so what we're doing, just a dead note, 3rd string, and then we're going to hit the 14th fret, with a bend and release to 12, 3rd string. Then we'll come to 14 on the 4th string, to 14 on the 3rd, back to 14 on the 4th. 12th fret, 3rd string, 14, 12 on the 4th string, 14 back to 14 on the 5th, 14 on the 4th, 14 on the 5th. Back to 12, then we'll hit 14 on the 5th to 12, slide to 10. Alright, so far we have this. Now we're going to hit 15 on the first string. Bend up, okay, and then they lead into this next section. Okay, the next section will be this. Of course, it's very fast, but what they're doing, 6th string, we're going to go 12 to the 14 and 15 hammer down, and we'll do that on the 5th string also. Then we're going to go to the 4th string, 12, 14, 16. So you got to stretch a little bit. Come back to the 5th string, 12, 14, 15. Back to the 4th string to 16 and the 3rd string to 16. Then we're going to go to the 2nd string, 12, hammer on to 13, 15, pulled off to 13 and 12. Hit it again and pull off from 13 to 12 on that 2nd string to 14 on the 3rd string, back to 12 on the 2nd. Then we hit 14, pulled off to 12 twice. The 2nd time we'll slide to 11. Then we'll hit 12, pulled off to 11, and end on 12 twice on the 4th string. So again, all together slowly. Alright, that's the next measure. Then Glenn Tipton takes over. That's the KK section of it. Okay, so Glenn's next section of the solo, move up to the open, well, 2nd position. We're going to hit that 2nd fret of the 3rd string with a bend and a release and pull off to open. Okay, so we're going to hit the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, bend, release, and pull off to open. Then we move up to the 3rd position. We're going to hit the 5th fret of the 2nd string, 4th fret of the 3rd string. Then we'll go 3, 5 on the 2nd string to 3 on the 1st string, back to 5 on the 2nd string. Then we're going to move up to this will be the 8th position, but we're going to use our ring finger, bend that up at the 10th fret, 2nd string, catch 10 unbent on the 1st string, and then release 10 after striking it on the 2nd string. Then we go 8, 10, and move back a little to 7 on the 1st string, 8 on the 2nd string, 9 on the 3rd. Okay, and then we'll go 7, 9, 3rd string, to 10 on the 4th, then back to 7 on the 3rd, to 9, 10 on the 4th, and 7, 9. Then 10 on the 5th string to 7 and slide down. Alright, so all together, 1, 2, 3, 4. So from that last measure, we end on an E slid down. We're going to take the 2nd fret of the 4th string, which is an E, and we're going to slide, basically just kind of hit the 3rd fret of the 5th string back up to the 7th fret, because we're going back to an E. So we have this from the last section of the solo. That takes us to that part, and now we'll do this. Alright, so what we're doing there is we're going to go to the 4th string from 2 to open, 3rd string, bend and released, and pull off to open. Then we're going to slide from 2 to 14 on that third string. Then we just take 14 with a bend and release and pull off to 12. And then we hit 15 bent and then released. So again, coming out of the solo. Okay, now we're into the last section of the solo, which will take us out, and I'll show you that next. So the last section of the solo will sound like this. Alright, so what we're doing is pulling out from 15 to 12 on the first string. Then we'll do that twice on the second string. Then we go to 14 on the third, to 14 on the fourth, to 12 on the third, back to 14, pulled off to 12, back to 14. Then we hit 12, slide to 9. Then we're going to go to 7 on the fourth string, to 7 on the fifth, back to 7 on the fourth, and 7 on the fifth. And then 10, 9, 7 on the fifth string. That ends the solo. Okay, so post-solo, once you Glenn finishing up there, they're going to come in, basically that's the end of the, I think I called it the interlude or the pre-chorus. We're just going to come in with this. Okay, so that chorus taking us out, we know that part. Let's see. So that's 2 measures, all right? After that, we're going to go into like the intro. We're doing E power chord to the second and 5 power chord. And we'll have the licks going. The first lick, again, will go 3 times until the 4th time through we'll hear the second lick. So, coming out of the chorus into that, we'll have this. And this is where the first lick comes in. First lick again. First lick again. When the second lick comes in, this is when they change the rhythm. All right, so we're coming in from the 5-4-3-2. 3 chucks on the 6th string, back to an E power chord, and you'll hear that second lick. But what they do is this. So we're referencing that final part of the interlude, the 4 and 6, but we're just playing the 6th note. So I hear them sliding in. And then we go to the open 5th string to 2nd fret, 3rd string 6, back to 5th string open, and then ending on the 2nd fret of the 6th string. Alright, so I'm going to take it from the final chorus and I'll speak when the licks come in, alright? Lick 1. Lick 1. come back around. And you'll hear them fade out. So that's a whole song. I think I'll take this last section with the chorus and out, maybe even the post solo, so you can see how all this fits together. The post solo and the chorus out, so you can see how everything fits together. So that's how the song goes. I hope that helps everybody. Enjoy.